Welcome to another episode of Lyrics That Do the Talking with your host, Ryan Kelly Berkowitz. Yes, that is my name. Take it up with my parents. Haven't done one in a while. Was deciding. It's odd because there are so many songs that I sing on a regular basis, but these songs I feel like need to be, to me anyway, particularly lyrically special. This evening, this afternoon, this morning, whenever you find yourself watching, I'm gonna do a tune called Love is Like a Cigarette. I was first introduced to this tune by Katie Lang off her album Drag and Double Meaning. It was an album about cigarettes and smoking. I don't smoke. I'm not endorsing smoking, but they're very cool, mysterious lyrics to sing about. You look at old movies in black and white and the staging with cigarettes, and the actors always had something to do. There's still, you know, things that film with cigarettes and songs that talk about things, stimulants, different stimulants that we know are bad for us. But sometimes that the word cigarette is a great word. I want to say sort of, I guess it appears in a few songs, but sort of underused, 3-syllable word, sexy word, mysterious word, the implications of, you know, what a cigarette does, how short-lived it is, how it burns out, how it burns, how it can burn you, how people that smoke say it's delicious, all this stuff. Again, I'm not endorsing smoking. I'm not a smoker. I'm not trying to turn kids onto smoking. It's just that I'm talking about words for words' sake. So this tune is called Love is Like a Cigarette, and it was written, the copyright date is December 12th, 1935. It was written by Walter Kent, the music, and the lyric was written by Richard Jerome and Richard Arenstam. Katie was my one and only introduction to it, so I just did a quick search and I listened to Ellington's version of it. Who was singing on this version? Ivy Anderson. It's quite lovely. The Brunswick Record Corporation, man, you look at these old records, and I never heard of the Brunswick Record Company, made in the United States of America, not licensed for radio broadcast. You know, there's always something when they recorded this stuff. Wow. Interesting. I listened to this version. There are a couple of lyrical differences, and I'm assuming that this is probably the accurate lyric. Katie says a few things differently, but Katie is the voice that made me fall in love with the song. So I'm just going to do, I started a precedent with this show that I give a lyric that I think is the most arresting. And I think the lyric that is the most arresting in this tune is, then with a flip of your fingertips, it was easy for you to forget. Oh, love is like a cigarette. So that's my, I don't know, the whole song is wonderful, but I just see that paints a really poignant picture of how love can just be so fiery and flamey and then gone. So Katie does the intro. There's no intro on the album that I listened to with Ellington. No lyric intro anyway. So the intro is, what is love? You call it heaven above, a star that shines in the night, a bird that sings in its flight, a flower that blooms in the spring. There's no such thing. Love is like a cigarette. You know, you held my heart aglow between your fingertips, and just like a cigarette, I never knew the thrill of life until you touched my lips. Then, just like a cigarette, love seemed to fade away and leave behind ashes of regret. Then, with a flip of your fingertips, it was easy for you to forget. Ah, love is like a cigarette. Then, with a little solo in between, just like a cigarette, love seemed to fade away and leave behind ashes of regret. Then, with a flip of your fingertips, it was easy for you to forget. Oh, love is like a cigarette. Oh, that's a sexy song. All right, so let's analyze. The intro is absolutely beautiful. The intro starts to romanticize love as a very pure, like young outlook on it. I call it love because when you're younger, you don't have as much experience with heartbreak or letdown, and you know, hopefully you're looking forward to love. So what is love? Big question to start out the intro. What is love? You called it heaven above. You could label love heaven above, like the love is heaven. You know, heaven must be missing an angel. A lot of allusions to love in the heavens and heavenly love and celestial beings and whatnot, and love lift us up. Love's, you know, always above. So what is love? You call it heaven above. Star that shines in the night. Again, you wish on a star, usually if you want maybe someone to fall in love with you. I've seen, there's a scene in Music Man when they're wishing on the evening star, good night my someone, and they don't have, the little Amaryllis doesn't have the name of the boy that she wants, or it's Winthrop, but maybe she's thinking of someone else, so Marion tells her, oh, you could just say goodnight my someone. So what am I getting on this tangent? Right, a star that shines in the night. Very much an image of love, or a constellation, a god, a goddess, a demigod. You're looking above into the stars, and there are all these tales and mythology about how love is, you know, above us. Either what is love? You call it heaven above, a star that shines in the night, a bird that sings in its flight. Also, a lot of allusions to birds singing and turtle doves and nightingales sang in Berkeley Square and lovebirds, and these are all on the nose positive images of love, or illusions of love, or metaphors of love. Very positive, very whimsical, very you know, your heart is pounding and nothing could ever go wrong, and it's weightless, and it's flying, and it's dreamy. Okay. Last one, a flower that blooms in the spring. Again, young love. Spring is always the rebirth. You call it the renaissance of the seasons, right? We have the death of everything in winter. We have our new year in winter when everything dies, which is odd. You would think that the astrology calendar starts in April. That actually makes a little bit more sense. Not that I'm a huge believer in astrology, but it makes more sense for the calendar to start in the spring when everything has its rebirth, rather in, you know, the winter when everything is dying. But that's okay. So we've got this whole positive, whimsical, weightless, floaty, flight, young, interpretation of love in the intro. What is love? You called it heaven above. Love is a really, really, really difficult word to true rhyme with, right? So you've got it of, right? So it's either of, glove, above. Love is one of the hardest words to true rhyme. It gets tired quick, right? The song was written in 36, so love and above really wasn't that tired yet. What is love? You called it heaven above, a star that shines in the night, a bird that sings in its flight. Again, today I probably would not write that little couplet. I wouldn't write that rhyme because it's a little lazy. But in 36, it really wasn't. And actually, these images are very concise and like speedy and really register in your brain brilliantly and beautifully and quick. It is all on the nose, and that's sometimes hard to do, to get like so many on the nose depictions of good love, positive love, right? A star that shines in the night, a bird that sings in its flight, beautiful bird, right? What we said, a flower that blooms in the spring. Again, this beautiful, it's usually got this fragrance and it's opening up, and, you know, allusions to all kinds of, usually you're blooming in the spring, but sexual allusions and boys and girls and everything, you know, in between, animals losing their virginity, all this stuff. Okay, so one more time. What is love? You called it heaven above. A star that shines in the night, a bird that sings in its flight, a flower that blooms in the spring. There's no such thing. We're going to turn here, so it's going to get a little darker. It's not as, right? Oh, sweet mystery of life. Or like, what's that? What's the tune that the, ba-da-da-da-da-da-da. It's not that kind of interpretation of love, okay? This tune. It's not. It's a little darker. It's a lot darker. So, flower that blooms in the spring, there's no such thing. Now we get into the nitty-gritty. Love is like a cigarette. You know, you held my heart aglow between your fingertips. I don't smoke. I know a lot of people smoke like this. A lot of people smoke like this. Unusual to see somebody put a cigarette in a holder. It's sort of like a separation of the intimacy of it. Maybe it like more of sort of, I don't know, a hoity-toity, whatever. You see people, mostly you see right on the skin, you see lipstick on a cigarette. It's very visceral. It's very sexy. Again, it's a social thing. It's, you know, you ask somebody, hey, can I bum a cigarette? And you go outside and you have a cigarette and you meet people that you wouldn't know, or you have your cigarette friends or whatever it is. And again, I'm not endorsing smoking, but it's a very visceral, social, intimate, it's right in your mouth. It's where a kiss would be. You know what I mean? It smells awful. If you're going to kiss, I don't smoke, kiss somebody that smokes. I'm not slamming smokers, but it's, ugh. So love is like a cigarette. You know, you held my heart aglow between your fingertips. So they're personifying the cigarette, right? As somebody's still beating heart, and it's caught up in this rapture in this person's, you know, fingertips. It's not identified as male or female, which I think is great. It's like very neutral gender. It could be anything, right? You know, you held my heart aglow beneath your fingertips, right? So the person that's holding the cigarette is in complete control of this other person's heart, right? Like, you know, the tune, be careful, it's my heart, right? Don't break my heart, unbreak my heart. The heart is usually the symbol of, in the body, where love resides. Odd, because, I mean, most of the things that you feel are generated from your head, or you feel it in your guts. Feel it like deep in your third center, but we mostly associate the feelings of love with the heart, matters of the heart. The heart wants what it wants. So, you know, you held my heart aglow between your fingertips, and the glow word is a beautiful word. I don't think we usually use that. We don't use that word too much. Maybe we use glow, but back in the day, glow, little glowworm, glimmer, glow. Because your heart doesn't necessarily have to glow all the time. If you're not with your, you know, the person that you have affection for, your heart doesn't always have to be shimmering and beady and fluttering. And this person is obviously very turned on romantically by the person who is holding them between their fingertips like a cigarette. Like the person holding their heart, personified in the cigarette, has all the control and could at any moment drop them, right? Like a hot potato. Love is like a cigarette. You know, you held my heart aglow between your fingertips. And just like a cigarette, I never knew the thrill of life until you touched my lips. So, a cigarette cannot really become until you light it and take a drag off of it. So yeah, the cigarette doesn't know its purpose until it is between the fingers, and more importantly, between your lips, and most importantly, in your lungs, right? Woo! So I never knew the thrill of life. Speaking as the cigarette, speaking as the heart, you have just taken me in. You're breathing me in. I didn't know my purpose until I met you, until you started to use me. You just use me until you use me up, Spill Withers. You were like dead inside until this person was giving you your purpose. Oh my God, I was meant to be used. I was meant to be caressed. I was meant to be between your lips. I was meant to be on your hands. I was meant to be breathed in by you. I was meant to be inhaled. Sexy song. Again, I'm not endorsing cigarettes, but whoo, it's a great illusion. So love is like a cigarette. You know, you held my heart aglow between your fingertips. And just like a cigarette, I never knew the thrill of life until you touched my lips. Okay, so I never knew the thrill of life until you touched my lips. I think we're still speaking from the point of view of a cigarette. I don't think we can really turn it around, because I mean, yes, the cigarette goes to the lips, but that doesn't make sense. You know, you had my heart aglow between your fingertips, and just like a cigarette, I never knew the thrill of life until you touched my lips. So I think the cigarette is the whole person, the heart, the lips, the genitals, the legs, the boom boom, the fate, what have you. Again, and we have these very traditional rhymes. Tips, lips, right? Then, just like a cigarette, what happens? A cigarette doesn't last forever. Love seems to fade away and leave behind ashes of regret. Oh my God. That's really poignant. Then just like a cigarette, love, just like you watch the cigarette, you know, when you watch the cigarette burn down, right? And then you get rid of the ash, and then the cigarette is like that much shorter, and you're likening love, you're likening your heart. Your heart is gonna burn. Oh my God, it's gonna be gone. It's gonna be gone. This love is within the time frame that it takes the other person with all the control to get through you, to get through the cigarette. Jesus Christ, it's great imagery. Then just like a cigarette, love seemed to fade away and leave behind ashes of regret. So you're still being held by this other person. You're still like, but it's like the end. It's the end of the rainbow. It's the end of the honeymoon phase. It's the end. It's almost like you're getting a divorce. It was a quick marriage, right? Love seemed to fade. What a great rhyme. Love seemed to fade away. So you were hot, right? It was just one of those things, very much one of those crazy flings, a trip to the moon on gossamer wings, just one of those things. Doing a little Cole Porter illusion. But yeah, this is a hot, heated love, and it's going to burn out quick. Love seemed to fade away and leave behind ashes of regret. What a great word to liken to regret. Ashes. And we talk about ashes to ashes, dust to dust, that we go back into the ground, and we're supposed to think of it as a rebirth and a positive thing, and life is cyclical, but ashes are sort of kind of a downer. You know, you don't want ashes on yourself. You don't want ash stains on your fingers. You put ashes in a tray, or you let them go on the pavement. It is a very regretful thing. It's like, it's a chemical change. It was this stimulant, and now it's garbage. Garbage. And after a while, regret, you feel like garbage when you're the one that's tossed away. Feel like a piece of trash. Love seemed to fade away and leave behind ashes of regret. Then, the flip of your fingertips, it was easy for you to forget. Oh, love is like a cigarette. It's a one-night stand. It's a one-night stand. Unrequited love. The cigarette person is all in. They have this one cigarette life to live. And the other person has the whole pack, and however many packs they're going to have down the next. They're going to love again and again and again and again, and maybe just as intimately and just as fervently and just as addicted to it, because it's an addiction. That one person is addicted to the cigarette, but guess what? They have a box and a carton behind this one where this one came from. So this one is not very special, right? The addiction to the love is special, but not the individual cigarette. Great song! Woo! So then we're going to repeat. We have a lovely solo, and we have a repeat of the last stanza. Oh, also if we go through these, what they chose to rhyme when. The first time we went through Love is Like a Cigarette, you held my heart aglow between your fingertips. We were rhyming the ips, right? Then just like a cigarette, I never knew the thrill of life until you touched my lips. Now they're doing everything. Now they're also rhyming the 3-syllable cigarette word. Then just like a cigarette, love seemed to fade away and leave behind ashes of regret. It's okay, you can rhyme a 3-syllable word with a 2-syllable word. Then, with a flip of your fingertips, this rhyming is on point. Katie actually sings flick, and it might be a little bit more visceral. It might, in your head, maybe a flick can go a little further, but I actually like flip a little better because it sticks with the true rhyme. Then with a flip of your fingertips, it was easy for you to forget. Again, going back to rhyming with cigarette, going back to rhyming with regret. Forget and regret are true rhymes, right? Oh, love is like a cigarette. Woo! Okay, so I'm going to read it again after having analyzed it. Going from this very light, lovely, optimistic point of view of love, maybe young love, your first love, puppy love, to the turn, to something that heats up fast and then is tossed away on the pavement. All right. What is love? You called it heaven above. A star that shines in the night. A bird that sings in its flight. A flower that blooms in the spring. There's no such thing. Love is like a cigarette. You know, you held my heart aglow between your fingertips. And just like a cigarette, I never knew the thrill of life until you touched my lips. Then, just like a cigarette, love seemed to fade away and leave behind ashes of regret. Then, with a flip of your fingertips, it was easy for you to forget. Oh, love is like a cigarette. Solo. Then, just like a cigarette, love seemed to fade away and leave behind ashes of regret. Then, with a flip of your fingertips, it was easy for you to forget. is like a cigarette. Beautiful tune. Sometimes it's daring to do things that are unknown because you lose the crowd, but something like this is just so full of imagery and heartbreak and immediacy and moments that turn, things that you don't expect. Beautiful song. Again, know who composed your music. Music written by Walter Kent, lyrics written by Richard Jerome and Richard Arenstam. Copyright is December 12th, 1935. And I was first introduced to it on Katie Lang's album, Drag. Is it the last tune on the album? So many good tunes on that album. Every tune on that album is noteworthy. For some reason, this one resonated with me this evening. This has been Lyrics That Do the Talking with your host, Ryan Kelly Berkowitz. I hope that you got through my nonsensical ramblings. I hope they made you think. They make me think. I don't prepare scripts for this. I just sort of dive in. And some of these songs I am extremely familiar with, and some of them I have never sung, I've only listened to. This is an example of a song that I have never sung, I've only listened to. But I might put it in my sets right quick. Have a wonderful morning, evening, afternoon, what have you. I'm not endorsing smoking. It's just a song. Beautiful lyric. Once again, thank you for watching Lyrics That Do the Talking. This is your host, Ryan Kelly Berkowitz. Until next time. Oh, you could also check out my sister show, I'll Sing You Mine, if you sing me yours. You could also check out, I did Magic, which was the tribute to John Williams, on I'll Sing You Mine If You Sing Me Yours, but then I put it out there again. I didn't release it or anything. I should probably release it. It's lovely. I should probably enter it into some songwriting competitions. I think it's lovely. I put some visuals to it, and I sent it to John, or an email for John. My dad knew how excited I was about it, and he was like, I've got an email for John. I was like, I'm gonna send it. Oh, yeah, send it. Hopefully he doesn't hate it. Anyway, over and out. Ta-ta.